The 90-10 rule isn't about finding some magic fishing spot. It's more about stopping wasting casts in 90% of water that gives fish no real reason to be there. Mitchtram here. The 90-10 rule says that 90% of fish are usually in about 10% of the water. And this pretty much applies to all water. And don't get that exact number in your head. It's not a formula. It's not perfect. It doesn't mean that every bay, every pond, every lake, river is exactly 90 to 10 every day. The point is pretty simple. Fish are not spread out evenly, and a lot of us anglers, we fish like they are. And it's not like if you look at a body of water that this 10% of that body of water has all the fish in it. It's about all those little places throughout that body of water that give a fish a reason to be there. That's the 10% within that whole body of water. So a stump here, a grass line there, a drop off here, a point there. Places that fish will find attractive to be there. Now, a lot of us anglers, we walk up to the bank and we start casting at whatever is closest. Then we work our way down the shoreline, or in a boat, we just put the trolling motor on and we just cast down a bank. And sometimes that's okay. A lot of times it's not, and probably most of the time it's not. You're just fishing empty water and you're hitting a spot every now and then. So you're wasting a lot of time. Now, before you worry about the lure, the color, the line type, the line size, whatever bait everybody says they're throwing right now, or whatever the hot bait is, the koki or whatever it is, ask these 3 questions. What's different here? Do I see any food? And if those things are true, where should my first and best casts go? You're not trying to find every fish in the lake. You're trying to stop treating all water like it's equal, because it's not. Not all water is equal. Some water gives fish a reason to be there. Some water gives bait a reason to be there. And some water gives you an actual target to cast at. And that's the water that I want to spend more time on. Now, here's the thing. A map can show you a place to check. It can show you a point. It can show you where a creek channel is, maybe where a flat is, a dock, shade, a grass line, a deeper edge. And that stuff helps, and it's important. And I've talked about scouting on Google Maps before. I believe in that. But a map can't tell you if fish are actually using that spot right now. Fish move, bait moves, shade changes throughout the day, wind changes, current changes, water clarity changes, water levels change. A spot that was good yesterday or last week may not be good today. A dock that's good when the sun is high and it's providing shade, that may be dead early in the morning. A grass line that's good when bait is on it may not be worth much when there's no life around it. I think of it as finding the clues that tell me where the fish have a reason to be sitting. Okay, so let's talk through these 3 questions. Question 1, what is different here? So if you're looking out at the water, what's different? A long bank with nothing on it is just water. Now, if you add something to that, you add a laydown, you add a grass edge, there's a dock, a big rock pile, there's a shade line, there's a current seam coming through there, a point, a little cut in the bank, a drop off. There's wind blowing into one corner of that bank, right? Or there's deep water close to shallow water. Now I'm thinking, well, there might be something here. Not because it looks fancy, because something is different in that area. Something is giving fish a reason to be there. That's what I'm looking for, right? As I'm walking down the bank. If I'm in the boat, that's what I'm looking for. I'm not asking, can I cast there? I'm asking, why would there be fish in this area? What's giving me clues that fish should be here? Now, different by itself isn't always enough. Sometimes it is, but it isn't always enough. So you can hedge your bets by asking the second question. Is there food here? You can have the best looking cover in the world, but if there's nothing around for fish to eat, that spot may not be holding fish right now. So look for life. Are there bluegill kind of pecking around in the grass, minnows flicking the edge, bait fish moving along the surface? Are you seeing shad schooling, little pops near the bank? Do you see any crawfish around the rock, birds working? Are there bugs falling into the water? You don't always need to see like a full-blown like feeding activity or frenzy. Sometimes it's just a little bit of movement that tells you, hey, there's a little more to this, right? Now, if there's food nearby, now that's a spot that has a much better reason to hold fish. That's why two areas that look the same, they can fish completely differently, right? One grass line may be dead, another grass line may be loaded with bluegill and minnows, same type of cover, completely different situation. You find fish where the bait is running and maybe nothing where the bait isn't running. Now, question 3 is where we turn this area into what we target. Where should my first and best cast go? This is where a lot of us anglers get close, but we don't really kind of follow through. We find a good looking area, we see grass, maybe we see a dock, we see a laydown, then we just throw somewhere near it. Bass don't want to chase in open water all day. Sometimes they'll chase, but a lot of times they are just ambushing and they need something close enough that they can jump out of their strike zone and grab it, right? But a lot of times that thing that was different in the first question gets your attention, but you still have to figure out where to put your bait. Shade with a log sticking out, that's a good example, right? That shade is what made that area different. That log is probably the ambush point. But if there's no log and it's just a hard shade line on an otherwise sunny bank, then that shade line may be the ambush point. That's what this question is really trying to answer. Where should that first and best cast go? Not just somewhere near the cover, not just somewhere in the shade, the best part of it. The edge of the grass, the hole in the grass, that dock post, the corner of the dock that's casting a shadow, the end of the laydown, the shade line, the bigger rocks in that rock pile. That's what I want to focus on first. So you stack those 3 questions together, right? I found something different. I see some bait. Now, where do I cast? That's kind of where that 90-10 rule really starts to make sense. You find what's different, you look for food, then you figure out where the fish would actually set up. That's high percentage water. That's where you want to be. It's not guaranteed water, right? Nothing in fishing is. Fishing just doesn't work that way. But it's a whole lot better than just walking down the bank throwing at everything. So, as a quick example, you walk up on a pond. On one side, there's a long blank bank. It's easy to cast, it's open. You can work a bait down it without getting hung up. And because it's easy, that's where a lot of people, they just start and they don't catch anything. But if you look at the other side, the wind, it's blowing into it. There's a little grass. Maybe a tree is throwing some shade over the water. And you can see bluegill moving around the edge. That side has some good clues. The wind can push food. The grass gives the bait somewhere to hide. The shade gives the fish a better place to sit. And the bluegill, they're telling you that life is around there. So I'm not starting on that side because it looks prettier. I'm starting there because it makes a lot of sense. Then I'm looking for the first and best cast.
It's in right over there.
Maybe it's the outside edge of the grass. Maybe it's the deepest, darkest part of the shade. Maybe there's kind of a hole in the grass. Maybe a sandy spot in the middle of that grass. Maybe it's the end of the limb under a tree. I'm trying to pitch under that. That's where I want my bait to go first. Now, I've wasted plenty of time on the easy bank just because it's comfortable to cast, right? A lot of times the better water is the stuff that makes you work a little harder, right? But it pays off. Now, once you find that better water, don't just burn it with lazy casts. That's another mistake. A lot of anglers find a good spot, make a few casts in the middle, don't get bit and leave. If the clues are stacked, give that spot a real chance. Hit it from a few different angles. If it's a lay down, just don't throw to the middle of the tree, right? Try the outside edge. Try the end of it. Try where the trunk is. If there's a shallow side, try the shallow side. If there's a deeper side, try the deeper side. Work the whole thing. And say it's a grass line. Don't just throw into the thickest grass and drag back a salad every cast, right? Big mat of stuff. Fish the edge. If there's holes, fish those holes. Fish will set in those holes and ambush. Fish the point where the grass sticks out. Fish the lane where the bait comes through clean. One cast may show the fish your bait. A better angle may make that fish eat it. A lot of bites come from putting the bait in the right place and bringing it past the fish the right way. Now, you do have to choose your lure, and I kind of think about lure secondary once I find the spot. It's second, not first. Don't start with what should I throw, start with what am I throwing at? If I'm fishing open water with bait moving along that water, I may cover it with something that's moving, a crankbait, a spinnerbait, maybe a buzz bait, any number of moving baits, maybe even a swim bait. Now, if I'm fishing tight cover, I probably want to go more weedless, right? A Texas rig or a jig. If I'm fishing a grass edge, I want something I can work clean without getting buried every cast. Once again, something weedless. If that water is really pressured and the fish are looking but not eating, maybe I'm gonna slow down or go small, go more natural. So the water will tell you the tool, not the other way around. That's a big part of this. The lure should help you target the fish. Good water isn't good forever. That's a part that I think we as anglers miss. A dock with no shade under it right now probably is dead. It may not be, but it probably is. Same dock 2 hours later when the sun moves, that's a different story. Now there's shade, there's somewhere for the fish to sit. A grass line with no bait around it may not be as good as a plain looking corner where minnows are getting pushed into it by the wind. And a point, it may be good when the wind is blowing across it, but not as good when the wind lays down. So don't ask, is this a good spot? Ask, is this a good spot right now? That keeps you from getting stuck in your memory. And we all do that, right? We all do that. You catch a fish somewhere one time, and now that spot gets burned into your head as a good spot. And it may be, it could be, right? But the reason it was good matters more than the spot itself. When you caught that fish, was there shade? Was there wind? Was the bait pushed into it? Was the water up? Was the water stained? Was there current? Were there fish feeding shallow? If you can figure out why it was good, you can find that exact same setup somewhere else. And that's way more useful than just having one spot marked in your head. So, don't marry a spot and don't abandon one too fast either, right? Both mistakes cost you fish. If you've got a high percentage area with good clues, don't leave after 1 or 2 casts. Work that area pretty hard. Give it 10 or 15 minutes of really working it. Give it some good casts from different angles. Try a moving bait if that makes sense. Try something slower if they won't chase. Watch for signs. Do you see bluegill scattering? Have you had a follow, a bump, a swirl? See your line jumping? Anything that tells you something is there. But if you've done that and there's nothing, there's no bites, you're not seeing life, no movement, no signs, don't stand there for 20 minutes just because it's comfortable. Move. That may be the best decision you've made all day. That spot may be good later. It may be good tomorrow. It may be good when the wind changes, but it may not be good right now. So give good water your attention and give dead water a lot less of your time. So you don't need to fish every inch of a lake. You need to stop treating every inch like it's equal. Find the part of the water that matters. Spin your cast there. And when the clues, they run out, don't be afraid to move. Watch this next video if you want to get better at telling dead water from water that actually holds fish. Subscribe if this helped, and drop a comment with what you fish most. Do you fish ponds, creeks, rivers, lakes, or inshore? All right, guys, we'll see you on the next one.